What's up, guys? Snick here. I'm here with a case of Welcome to Wraith to open. This will be one of many videos in coming times where we open cases, boxes, do videos on deck lists, constructed talk, spoiler talk, and whatnot from the creators of Bubble Breakers, which is our co-founding name. Consists of me, Nick Spence, Daniel Real, and Stephen Steele. So today we'll start off with Case of Wraith. So what we have here is this is one of the boxes of Wraith. It's alpha print still, so it means they haven't reached the end of the line yet. It's still worth something in some degree. And we're going to open this up like a savage, because that's what I am. Alright. So for users that don't know, Flesh and Blood is a New Zealand based game, made here in New Zealand. It is a hero-centric base game where you start off with a hero in the center, followed by 2 weapons, and then a whole bunch of armor pieces, as well as your deck, your pitch zone, banish, and graveyard, combat chain, and an arsenal zone. For anyone that's interested in knowing what this meta is, this is one of the first couple of events that they had called the Callings. These were given to the judges. There was only 12 of them given out. So this is one of 12 mets in the current world at the moment. Pretty happy to have one myself. I was not a judge, but I made a bold purchase into getting myself one, because I didn't want to miss out on an extreme opportunity for a card met. So for the first couple of packs, I'll go through and I'll highlight some things over the cards, how the layout is, and then we'll start speeding them up towards the end, mainly pointing out the value stuff and whatnot. Personally opened probably like 60 cases all up. It's quite an interesting set. Wraith is their first set, so it's definitely more baseline, more structured, and probably one of their better sets for a long time, because it needed to build up the other classes. Everything else is going to be better, but as a standalone, they're probably not better, right? To start off with, we have what's considered the 4 slot. So in Wraith, there's a 4 card slot at the start, which consists of 4 generics, which are usually all commons, and then you have an equipment slot, which is another common, and then you have what's considered a rare slot, which is this one here, and the next one, which is a rare or higher slot, and then you have the foil slot. So for the rare slot, we have the Philosopher's. For the rare or higher slot, we have a super called Mugenshi Release. And for the super slot, we have a common card called Wounding Blow. So we're going to mark these off differently so that they're noticeable. So this is going to foil slot, just rare slots, and rare or higher slots. And then what you have to establish the rest of the pack is you have class. So the way it goes is it's generally like split between 2 halves. So you have, they change for everything as well. So you have like Brute, Guardian, Brute, or Ninja, Warrior, Ninja, Warrior. And then sometimes it'll be like Guardian, Brute, Guardian, Brute, Guardian, Brute, and then Ninja, Warrior, Ninja, and then no double Warrior at the end. And the very last card on the pack is called a token card, which is a double-sided card, which gives you your weapon and hero. These vary from all of the other heroes along the set. So we have Infernos, the Guardian's weapon, hammer, 2-handed weapon, and on the other side we have Dorothea Ironsong, which is one of the heroes, the warrior hero. So we're going to ignore most of this stuff, and we'll carry on to the next pack. Sorry, there's a bit of glare coming into my room at the moment. I'm trying to adjust for it. as well as providing decent lightning. This setup will change over the next couple of weeks due to the fact that this is probably not the best current setup for this. I'm still working out some kinks, and I'm overcoming the current flu at the moment. So we have another Nimblism to start off with, a Slogism, an Unmovable, and Demolition Crew. And it's our 4 generic slot, followed by an equipment that is Heims the Owls in pink, which is Guardian's thing. For our rear slot, we have Drone Brutality, and for our rear high, we have another rear which is disabled. And for our foil, we have Deliberate, which is a Guardian common card in foil. Very nice. So then we have Guardian Brute, Guardian, Warrior, Ninja, and then a Dorafina Young and a Rhino Young. So we'll move on to the next pack. Once again, the 4 slot. We have Browgene, Brawnhide, we have Scar for Scar, and a Sink Below. Everything apart from that Browgene Brawnhide was very nice. We have an Iron Rot Plate. For our rear slot, we have a Warrior's Valor, a Breakneck Battery, and then we have a Sharpened Steel. So our rear slot, not bad. Sharpened Steel is very nice for our foil. And then we have Guardian, Brute, Guardian. And then we have Cracked Bubble, which we're going to put aside. So our name came from Cracked Bubbles, and for a South Island treat which is called the Meraki Boulders. We decided we'd do a play on word and we'd go with the bubble breakers. Because the Cracked Bubble quite looks like the Meraki Boulders. We thought we'd just go for a play on word and we'll pull ourselves out. So I'm going to leave them aside for now. So once again, 4 card generic slot that isn't as important. We have the equipment, which is Hardened Cross Strap. And then we have a rear slot. We have a Tome of Findale, which is Majestic. This is our first Majestic. This is actually a really nice Majestic. It's not seeing massive play, but it's not underrated. It's definitely seeing play. So we'll put that over there. And then for our foil, we have Savage Swing, which is pretty cool. And then we have a new an array of hero cards. I can't focus it in on, but in the bottom of these packs down here, they labelled what each card and rarity is, but because my camera is refusing to focus in at the moment, I can't actually get it to focus in properly. So once again, we have the 4 card slot. We have the equipment slot, and then we have the rear, and foil. So overall, pretty good. Can't really complain. Sigil of Solace is nice. I'd prefer it in red, but like I said, not a bad card. Alright, let's move on. So we have the 4 card slot. Something that you will notice in the alpha print is that it's actually pink, not red. And the only thing that is red will be the Razor Reflex non-foil, which I will show you when we come across one. So we have the equipment slot, which is the Breaking Scales, which is a very nice ninja equipment. For the rest slot, we have Overpower, Disabled, and for the foil, we have Smash Instinct. And then just a bunch of res non-rens. Commons from classes. We have double Nimblism, Demolition Crew, and a Browgene Brawnhide. For the equipment, we have Backbone Strapping. For the reverse rear, we have Energy Pot. For the second rear, we have Savage Feast. And for the foil, we have Savage Feast, which is very alright pack. Can't really complain, to be honest. Right, so we're just under halfway through the box. Well, massively under halfway, but still. So we have an Iron Rot Plate. Alright, for the rear slots, Oof, sorry, I am making a mess over here. For the rest slots, we have Breakneck Battery. Then we have a super slot called Last Ditch Effort. And then for the foil, we have Flock of the Featherwalkers, which is nice. And then basically, aside from that, it's just filling out slots. Alright, so we have our 4 slots again. There's a Razor Reflex, but there's no red one, so I can't show you the difference. We have an Iron Rot plate, Iron Rot legs for a thing. We have a Snatch for our rear slot and a Breakneck Battery from our rear slot. And for our foil slot, we have a Warrior's Valor blue. And then, once again, a bunch of class cards followed by the token at the end. So we have 4 slots again, followed by the equipment. And then now we have our rares. So we have Sigil of Solace for our first rare. We have a Savage Feast and a Biting Blade for our foil. And then once again, a bunch of class cards and the token at the end. Alright, moving on to a second from last for the halfway through the box mark. Sloggism, Mordian Blow, Raging Onslaught, and Nimble Strike. We have an Iron Rot helmet for the equipment. For the first of our rare slot, we have the Blackout Kick, which is nice. We have an Overpowered, and then we have a Yellow Steelblade Shunt for foil, which is alright. Another pack, here we are. So we have a 4 generic slot and an Iron Rot Gauntlet. Get that out of the way. So we have a Sigil of Solace yellow for the rear. We have a Blessings of Deliverance rear, and then we have a Rika Romp for foil common. And then we just have typical stuff. We have a second crack bubble. So you only get an average of 2 per box. I haven't seen anything less, and I haven't seen anything more per box. So once again, we have the 4 generic slot plus the equipment slot. We have the rear slot plus the rear or higher slot, and then the foil slot. Once again, going through, nothing else. So we are halfway through the box, and we are making steady progress. Overall, this box is pretty lackluster. It's not bad, but it's pretty lackluster. With only 1 Majestic and 2 Supers. So we have a Sloggism, a Skirt of the Battlescape, a Pummel, and a Sink Below. We have Refraction Bolters for the equipment, and then we move on to the rest. For the rear slot, we have Overpower and a Steelblade Shunt, and then for our foil slot, we have an Iron Song Response for the Warrior, which is very nice. Skip him for the rest, because the rest is very short work. Alright. So once again, we have a 4 generic slot plus the equipment slot. We have a rear Snatch and a rear Overpower, and then for our foil slot, we have a blue Scar for Scar. So we have 4 generic cards again, plus our equipment, which is generic, and Gauntlet, which is really nice. For a rear slot, we have Blackout Kick, Disabled, and then for our foil slot, we have Snatch in red. So we have, so here we go. Here's one to look at. I'll put that aside, and we'll go through that in a second. So what's good? We have our slot again. All right, here we go. Let's have a look at this. So you'll notice that one is definitely pink and one is definitely red at the top of the thing. It was a massive printing error they had in the whole set. Everything is pink except for the common Razor Reflexes. Even the foil Razor Reflexes are pink. There are rumours floating about that in the next set, the unlimited set of this, since this is an alpha print, they will have fixed the colour up and that they will have the rarities underlined on the bottom. So we'll put that aside. For our rare slot we have Assiduous Solace and Overpower, and then for our foil slot we have a Stroke of Foresight. Everything else is just what it is. So from a box you could expect to make at least every deck if you really wanted to, without all of its major components. So you have your generic foil plus your equipment, and then we go to the rare slot, so which we have disabled a Staunch Response, and for the super, which is a foil slot, we have Forge for War. That was a heavy Guardian pack, which is okay, but that Forge for War and super, which is the super and foil, is pretty nice. So we have the 4 generic slot plus the equipment slot, and then we have the rare slot, which is Barraging Beatdown, Steelblade Shunt, and for the foil we have a Deliberate, and everything else. So we have a red sink below, Barraging Broadhide, Demolition Crew, and a Goliath Gauntlet. For the first of the rare slots we have an Energy Pot, a Breakneck Battery, and a sink below for the foil slot. Everything else just being everything else. So overall, this box has been extremely underwhelming. It'll be interesting to see what we get over the next couple of packs. Hoping for something that stands out. So we have 4 generics again, and we have the equipment, and then we have offset the rears, which we have a Breakneck Battery for the first rear. For the second one we have a super called Hurricane Technique, which is one of the ninja ones. And then we have Barraging Broadhide for the common, foil common. And then everything else. So then we have 4 for generics again, plus the generic equipment. We have a Snatch for the rear, a Staunch Response for the rear, and a Flick Flack for the foil rear. Nothing else. 2 packs left, and we've really not pulled anything. Alright, so we have 4 generics plus the equipment. We have, for the rare slot, we have Blessings of Deliverance. For the rare or higher slot, we have a Majestic called Bloodrush Bellow for the Brute class. And for the foil slot, we have something called Driving Blade for the Warrior class. Right, off to our last pack. 2 Majestics, 4 Supers. It's not a great box. I think it's a standard low tier box. Like your weakest sort of boxes, this is what you'd probably expect. You wouldn't really expect anything weaker than this. Anything weaker than this is generally a really bad box. This isn't a good box by any means. So you have your 4 generics plus your equipment. So for your rare, you have Drone of Vitality, Steelblade Shunt, and for the foil rare, we have a Stonewall Confidence. And that is box 1 done. So what I'll do is I'll tidy up and I'll move some of these things out of the way, and we will discuss these again. So we'll move these bubbles to my slot over there, which has heaps of them. So overall you can expect about that much rares. It's pretty good. about that much foils from a box, which is pretty good. It's pretty fair distribution. And then this here is what is the interesting stuff, the value stuff, or the stuff that's going to help you build your decks and make your deck stronger. So Forge for War is a card that gives each one of your equipments a +1 counter, and at the beginning of your action phase you destroy it. So you play it at the start of your turn. Here's go again. Each of your equipments gain +1 to defense, which is really good because if you don't have blade break weapons, if you don't have blade break armor pieces, so pieces that are battle worn or not even battle worn or blade break, it means they won't break and they'll just get a +1 indefinitely in while combat chains open and close. You have Hurricane Technique, which is a card that you'd search out for in the Ninja combo line. If you did, if you got your Rising Knee and you were able to drop for Katsu's ability, you'd search out Hurricane Technique if you had multiple resource. If you only had one resource, you'd search out the Blackout Kick. Hurricane Technique is nice because you play it and then if it hits, you put it back into your hand and then you can play it again. So there's Last Ditch Effort, which is a card that's seen some play and sometimes not play. It's basically against +4 if you have no cards in your deck. You have Mugashige Release, which is one of the Ninja combo lines. It's a pretty good combo line. It's a sword one. It's pretty good. And you have the Brute Majestic Blood Rush Bellow, which is pretty nice, and Majestic Tome of Fiendel, which is really nice. Alright, so we're going to get onto the second box and we'll go for that. I probably sound a bit nasally. I'm just coming off the flu. It is not the unspeakable thing. I had a test and it has come back negative, and they have told me that it is not that. So I don't have to worry about that. It's just the flu. Alright, so we're on to box number 2. As I said, that to me is a very weak box. It isn't. I wouldn't expect anything less than that at a minimum for a box. Every one of my other boxes, I'd expect something higher. I expect to get a higher returns from them. Whether it be value of cards that are worthwhile in the current format, or cards that are of money value. So once again, I tend to do the split where I split it into 4 sections of 6, so I know about how far through I'm of each box. So once again, we'll start off again. So we have our 4 generic slot yet again, and the equipment, we'll pull them aside. We can move a lot quicker now. For our rare slot, we have a Snatch. For a second rare slot, we have a Philosophus, and for our foil rare, we have a Cartilage Crush. Once again, bunch of junk. By the time you open a case of these, you'll have a bunch of cards like triples, quadruples of cards that you won't need, and if you open more than one case, you'll start obtaining bulk form of these cards that are valueless, basically. In their common forms for the current point in time. But remembering that they're all alpha print, and that a second as an unlimited print comes out, these alpha print cards will have more value from a lexical standpoint. So you have your 4 generic slots plus your equipment, and then for your rare you have a Barraging Beatdown, disabled, and then for our foil slot, which is this is a really good start. For our foil slot, we have a card called Remembrance. So we've got a foil Remembrance, which is a very, very nice card. It's a card that is seeing play in most decks at the moment. There are very few decks that aren't playing it, and those decks that aren't playing it, it's either in their sideboard or there's another way to build the deck in which you should be playing it. This is a card that I would suggest to anyone that's picking up and playing this game that they should try and collect 3 of at minimum, because it has only the potential to be better and better over time. Once again, Jank. So once again we have our 4 generic slot plus the equipment, and then we're off to the rares. So we have an overpower. We have a super called Route, which is for the warrior class, which is really good. And for our foil common slot, we have Open the Center. And we have a bunch of back-ending paper. So we have our 4 generic slot plus the equipment, and then we're off to the rares. We have a Steelblade Shunt. This is going really well for 3 packs. We have an Iron Song Response, which is also another Warrior Super. Very nice card. And then we have Wounding Blow for the foil with a common. And then just a bunch of jank. So that sunlight is coming through at an angle. I keep readjusting for it. Seems to be fine there. I can still see everything. Definitely need to work on my camera angle in place. I might adjust my curtain slightly to adjust for that, so we'll leave this back here. Alright, so we'll try this again. So we have the 4 common slots. We have equipment. For the red slot we have a Time Snap Potion, we have a Staunch Response, and then for the foil slot we have a Rising Frost. Everyone else is pretty much garbage. Moving on to the next pack. I still haven't fixed up that lighting, so I'm going to try to adjust for that again. I'll pick them up again. Hopefully it's a little bit better. As the weeks goes on, as we lead up to Crucible, I will be adjusting this, try to make it more beneficial to watch and view. So we have the 4-card generic slot once again, one of those Razor Reflex, followed by a pink card. Plus you have your equipment slot, and then we're off to the rares. So we have Blessings of Deliverance, a Staunch Response, and for our foil slot we have what is a cold foil equipment, an Iron Rock Gauntlet, which we'll put over here with these. And then everything else is whatever it is. So once again we have the 4 generic slots plus the equipment, which don't change. Not in the set, wait, they changed the Arcane Rising set, but off the top of my head I can't remember what order they were in. So you have your rare, a rare, and a foil common. And then everything else. So we'll go through those 4 again, plus the equipment, and then we get to the rares. So we have a Fluster Fist, a Last Ditch Effort for super, and Whelming Gustwave foil for the Ninja combo line. So we're not even halfway through the box, and the box is yielding value. Once again, the 4 cards plus the equipment. For the first rare slot we have a Sigil of Solace. For the second one we have a Warrior's Valet, and for the third one we have a Flock of the Feather Walkers. No cracked bubbles as of yet. So once again, the 4 slots plus the equipment. We have a Steel Blade Shunt. For the second slot, we have a Bloodrush Bella, which is Majestic. And for the foil slot, we have a foil rare Sigil of Solace. And then everything else. So we got a Majestic. Already this box is equivalent to the last one, and yet we still have more than half of our packs to go. So this box should retain even more value. That's right. 4 packs, equipment, rare, foil rare, Wrecker Romp. And there's our first crack bubble. So we have our 4 slot again, plus the equipment, and then we have a Flick Flack, Breakneck Battery, and then a Biting Blade for our foil. And then getting all the way through to the end. No crack bubble. So we have 4 cards, equipment. We have a rare plus a rare, and then we have a foil rare slot, the Breakneck Battery. And then no crack bubble. So we have a 4 card slot, plus our equipment. Drone of Brutality for the first rare, Disable for the second rare, and an Nature's Path Pilgrim for the foil common slot. And then nothing else. We have a 4 slot plus the equipment. We have a Warrior's Valor, Blackout Kick, and a Smash Instinct. And then a second crack bubble. So already this half of the box is valued nothing, but that's okay. It's just the start of the second half. I'm not really too worried at this stage. We have a 4 slot plus the Breakneck Battery for the equipment. With Breakneck Battery for the rear, Blackout Kick for the rear, and for our foil slot we got a Scabskin Levers, which is the legendary for this box. So already the box is well and truly past its value, and everything else is a plus right now. So that's a legendary. It's valued at about 120, which is about the retail price of one of these boxes. So it's something that pays for the box itself. Right, so we have the 4 card slot again, plus the equipment. We have an Energy Pot for the rear, a Fluster Fist for the rear, and then we have a Snatch, which is a foil rear. And then nothing else. It is possible to get a double legendary case, but it's also unlikely as well. Generally the spread out is 1 per case. So you got 4 slot plus the equipment, your rear, and then this box here is insane already. So this is another card that's currently valued at about roughly between 70 and 80. It's called a Lightning Strike. It's actually what my mat is. It's seen a lot of play. It is very versatile. It is a good staple. There are disagreements as to how good it is, where to play it at the moment. I personally think it is very playable. I also think that in some decks it should be of less quality than it is. It's more of a side decking card depending on what kind of matchup you're versing. So then for our foil slot we have a Sluggism, and then there should be nothing else. So overall, if this is an $80 card, and this is here is 120. This is a $200 box. This here is foil, so it's it's another $30 minimum. Already this box is 230 without thinking about the rest of the things. This box here has paid for itself, plus it's It's made up for the fact that this other box here originally was pretty bad. So you have your 4-card slot plus your equipment, and then we have a Staunch Response. Then we have a Majestic, another Majestic, Lord of Wind, and a Nature's Path Pilgrimage for the foil slot. Then nothing else. So really this box is pretty good, can't really complain. Everything about it is pretty positive. We're on to our last 5 packs, this has been the 5th one. 4-card slot plus the equipment. We have a Potion of Strength for the rear, a Flick Flack for the rear, and then for the foil slot we have a Razor Reflex, which you can see is a pink one, not a red one, because the foils are pink. Alright, so we're getting down to the last 4 packs. Don't know if there'll be anything else in these boxes. It is possible, but it's also likely that there isn't. It's a 4-card slot plus the 1. We have a Warrior's Valor. We also then have a non-foil Remembrance, which is very nice. Just adds to value for the box, which is like a $15 to $20 card at the moment. And then we have it disabled for the foil common slot. And then just a bunch of random stuff. Moving on to the next pack. We have 4 cards, 4-card slot, plus an Overpower for rear, a Breakneck Battery for rear, and an Immersion Power for the foil common. And then just a bunch of junk. Down to the last 2 packs. Opening up. We have 4-card slot plus the Iron Rot Plate. We have a Snatch for the rear slot, a Blackout Kick for the rear slot, a Driving Blade for the foil common slot. Alright, so we have the 4-card slot plus the Hardened Cross Strap. We have a Savage Feast, an Overpower, and a Surging Strike for the foil common slot. And then nothing else. So we'll tidy this up and then we'll go through that stuff again. So we'll put the rears with the rears. There's the second lot of rears there. Second lot of foils there. Put the crap bubbles away with the crap bubbles. We'll have 3 supers. We got a Route, 9 Siren Response, and a Last Ditch Effort. Well, actually, we got 4 supers for our Remembrance as well. Pretty good. Can't complain. They're not a bad amount of rares to have. And supers to have. For our Majestic slot, we got E-Strike, Lord of Wind, and a Blood Rush Ballad, and a Lighten Strike, sorry. Which is very good. It's like 15, 20, and then 80. So that is huge profit margins there. So then we have a foil Remembrance and a foil Iron Rod Gauntlet. And then finally we got this bad boy, which I'm actually going to sleeve. Which is the Scab Skins, which is the Brute Legendary. Very nice card. Very playable. A lot of RNG. It once per turn action. Roll a 6-sided dice. Gain action points equal to half the number rolled rounded down. So if you roll a 6, you gain 3 action points. If you roll a 1, you gain 0 action points. If you roll a 2, you gain 1 action point, which refunds the action point you just used. So first half of the boxing done. I'm actually going to stop recording here and start up a second one so that I can spread out the space a bit better.